Following yesterday's postponement due to bad weather, Ariane 5 is now ready for launch here at Europe's spaceport in French Guiana. With her single passenger, the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, JUICE, safe and sound under the fairing. Liftoff is scheduled in just under half an hour. I'm right here in the aptly named Jupiter Mission Control Room. This is the nerve center of today's mission, and you can see here on the other side of this protective glass, which we call the fishbowl here in Kourou, you can see the teams working hard on the last preparations towards today's mission. Opposite me here we have the partners, VIPs and guests all comfortably seated and waiting for liftoff. And with me right here for an update we have Stéphane Israël, CEO of Arianespace. Welcome, Stéphane.
Good morning, please.
Thank you very much. So we're back here together. So can you first of all maybe tell me, 24-hour delay, what was the reason for this delay yesterday?
So very simple. The launcher was ready, JUICE was ready, the launch was ready, but the weather was not with us. You know, we have to monitor two risks, high altitude winds, and it was okay, but risk of lightning yesterday was a real risk with the cloud to monitor, and so we have made the decision not to lift off yesterday.
But of course, as we always say, better be safe than sorry. JUICE can absolutely afford to wait another day under the fairing, not a problem.
Yes, for sure, because you know that once we will have done our job, after 27 minutes, and once we will have orbited JUICE on an escape orbit, then it will be the start of an 8-year journey. So one day is nothing as compared to what we have ahead of us. We will monitor the weather now in the final minutes. The teams have worked all night. All is red up to now, so we are now... All is green up to now. Sorry.
And we can see it on the status board, and we get some clapping here from the crowd.
It's a part of emotion for such an important mission.
It's going to bring us very good luck.
Yes,
absolutely.
All is green. And so at 9:14 we will lift off.
At 9:14 we'll lift off. Thank you so much, Stéphane, and fingers crossed, good luck for today. And we'll see you later. Thank you so much, Stéphane. And Stéphane is getting a round of applause in here in Jupiter. Of course, an emotion which is easy to understand, obviously, considering the conditions of yesterday's delay. But everything is fine, safe and sound under the fairing, as we said. So, as the teams working here in Jupiter Control, more than 7,000 kilometers away over the Atlantic at ESA's Mission Control Center in Darmstadt, Germany, we have the teams there who will take over control of the aircraft once it separates from the mothership. And we're going to go straight over and speak to them and hear how things are looking over there in Darmstadt. Over to you, Matt.
Thank you, Lisa, and hello to all our watchers. Welcome to ESOC, the European Space Operations Centre, here in Darmstadt, Germany, in the heart of Mission Control. I am. My name is Matt Russell, and I will be your host for the second half of this JUICE broadcast. And behind, we have Bruno Souza in the actual control room itself. So, hello, Bruno. Try and give us an update of what's happening in there at the moment.
Hi, Matt. We're still getting goosebumps all day, although to this time a bit more cautious goosebumps. But we are ready to go. And in fact, just a few minutes ago, the flight director, Andrea Komatsu, just did the roll call and got to go from everybody here in the room. We have some footage of that, and we're going to replay it for you.
To all stations, this is OD on the briefing loop for the roll call. Please reply on my call with your call sign and your status, go, no go. OM.
OM.
Go. Some go. Data handling.
Data handling, go.
AOCS.
AOCS, go.
Platform.
Platform, go.
Flight dynamics.
Flight dynamics, go.
Project rep.
Project rep, go.
Project support.
Project support, go.
Softcode.
Softcode, go.
Software support.
Software support, go.
S-track.
Extra, go.
Scheduling.
Scheduling, go.
Thanks. This completes the roll call for the JUICE mission. We are go for launch.
So as you just saw, we are fully ready to go. We're just waiting for that rocket to get off the launch pad.
Thanks so much, Bruno. Well, we're running out of time here, so we're back over to you, Lisa, in Kourou, and massive good luck to you.
Thank you from the teams in Darmstadt. And hey, the pressure's on. They said all we're waiting for is that rocket to take off. Well, they've told us they're ready. The rocket is ready, but we want to know about JUICE. And we have Mihaela Barbeau from ESA who's here to tell us all about it. Mihaela. How ready is JUICE?
Good morning. JUICE is actually ready and excited to start this journey. As we speak, my colleagues are closely monitoring the satellite. So yesterday, after the launch postponement, the satellite was switched off, and slowly in the day, around 7:14 p.m., it has been turned on to start the countdown procedure. They are very close to us, a few kilometers away in LBC control room, and everyone is hoping for good weather specs.
Fantastic. So we have a bit of time to chat about this. So your job is schedule controller. Does that mean that you're in charge of making sure all goes to plan?
It's part of my responsibility, but you know, when it comes to scheduling, it's never one single person's job. It's actually a team exercise, because planning means working coherently as a team. And us, the JUICE project team, we are quite schedule-oriented. We have a strong planning mindset. And even if you have the most perfect plan, you always have risk, you have uncertainty, and we saw that yesterday. So imagine if you take a step back, us in JUICE, we had to run our AIT campaign through a pandemic. And if you think of the industrial consortium, more than 2,000 people worked on this program, 23 countries, 18 institutions, 83 companies, then you understand the complexity of project management that my colleagues and I have been performed on this mission.
And done a fantastic job so far. So this is a personal journey for you. It's 8 years, your entire professional life, because you're just a baby. So tell us, how are you feeling today?
I'm very excited, and yes, JUICE is my entire career in ESA. And yesterday, as the project team, we received so much positive energy from home, from our science project. Thank you so much for your wishes. Everyone in ESTEC, we saw you how many were there. Thank you for your support. ESOC, ESAC, the people on the spaceport, we managed to see our extended JUICE family, our instrument colleagues, and we spoke with them. So they gave us all the energy to go through the night and to keep JUICE ready for the launch today.
Thank you so much. Have you got a last word before we leave it here?
I wish everyone to enjoy the launch from all the teams who have worked on this amazing journey. As European, I'm exceptionally proud to be part of it. And let's enjoy the event of today. It's well deserved.
Absolutely well deserved for your teams, and of course, all the other teams that you mentioned that have been working on this project. Thank you so much, Mihaela. Thank you. So, as Mihaela was saying, a huge amount of work from teams all over the world. We're going to find out more about these teams' achievements and, of course, about JUICE in the next film. So speaking of space exploration, we have two of the faces of human space exploration with us here today. I'm delighted to welcome once again Thomas Pesquet and Matthias Maurer. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us again today. It's a pleasure. So we're seeing JUICE go up into space with these outstanding instruments. What is it about sending this kind of instrument, going out to space yourselves, that helps us back here on Earth? First question to you.
Yeah, I think space exploration really in space ticks all the boxes. You get all the short-term benefits, you know, the things that we all use, that we all have in our smartphones, the navigation, the weather report. And then you have the more medium-term, I would say, applications. The reason we know today about climate change, the reason we're in position to fight climate change is thanks to all the missions we send around the Earth and observing the Earth. So that's kind of the more medium terms. Space agencies are the champions of fighting against climate change. And then you have the longer term, the far-reaching benefits for the future. And that's the research and the exploration we're doing, the research on board the space station, building better materials, you know, better medicine, better treatments, and it all diffuses in society on Earth and it's going to make the progress, you know, go up one step at a time. And then those missions going far out into the solar system, it's really to look at ourselves, our place in the universe, how do planets form, where do we come from, where are we going? Those are very important questions, and those are the type of questions that we're trying to solve with those missions.
Fantastic. Well, we're talking about JUICE today that's about to lift off and go on its mission, a long, long journey. But what about human space exploration? What are the next destinations?
Well, I think the next destination is very much the moon. I mean, the next big thing in space exploration, human space exploration, is the Artemis program. ESA has a big part to play in the Artemis program. We're providing the European service module to the Orion capsule. That means one day we'll see European astronauts around the moon, on the moon. And so to prepare for this, we also have our robotic moon exploration. And then what we'll learn on the moon will put us in a position one day to go to Mars. And Mars is the twin sister of the Earth. That's where we learn a lot on ourselves. It had similar conditions. It has lost its atmosphere. Liquid water also has disappeared. Can it happen to us? You know, those are important questions. And that's why we'll go to Mars first with our probes, with our orbiters, and then one day with human exploration to Mars. That's the big prize money, the big goal, the big step.
Fantastic. Wow. It makes you dream. But of course, what I would like to know from you, Matthias, is are you guys getting ready to take part in these adventures?
Yes, so Thomas and I, we already flew to a lowest orbit, and flying to the moon, we need to learn more, because on the moon you need geologists. So we need to go out in the field and learn how to talk with the geologist, how to be the hands and the eyes of the geologist once we're on the surface of the moon. And ESA already started this training for European astronauts some years ago. And so we see continuously European astronauts going out into the field, learning all these skills. But we also need to develop facilities where we can train European astronauts what to do on the moon. And so in Cologne, we will now have the moon training facility, which will enable to do all this training over there. And it will be so good that even hopefully the NASA astronauts will come over to train there, for their Artemis mission. So that's the big vision that we have. But it's not only learning for the moon. We also should also keep in focus that we have European astronauts flying to the ISS. Andy Mogensen is getting ready to fly later this year, and we just started a new astronaut class. They will be flying to the ISS, hopefully, and to whatever comes after the ISS.
So, do you imagine yourself taking off from here from the European spaceport here in French Guiana one day, Matthias?
Yes, we are currently in times that are really like a revolution in space. And so Europe needs to step up. And one of the big missions that we have, we need to become sovereign, to become autonomous, also with access to space for Europeans from European soil. And I think French Guiana is the ideal place to send Europeans on a European rocket in a European capsule to space. It's our big dream. Thomas and I, we would love to fly together from here to lowest orbit, but maybe even also in a European rocket further towards the moon.
And you said you'd be happy to welcome your NASA friends as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's we should not forget spaceflight is also a soft diplomacy power. And we will see very soon that China will invite foreign astronauts to fly to their space station. And so we Europeans, we are just learning that in these times it becomes more and more important to be on level field playing, and spaceflight definitely is also an important part in the diplomacy area.
Huge thank you, Matthias. And we have with us Josef Aschbacher. You are the Director General of ESA. Thank you for joining us. So in a nutshell here, what we've been talking about is Europe's capabilities for independent launch. Are you going to make this happen? You have 15 seconds.
It's not for me to make it happen. It's all the others to make it happen. But certainly we have been working very hard on it. We have consulted experts, independent experts, to help us, giving advice what this would mean for Europe as a unity of all the countries, the inspiration we would give, the economic benefits, the geopolitical strength that would be portrayed through such an activity. So there's a lot of interesting facets, and you have just heard Matthias and Thomas talking about those because it's so important, and yes, we're working on it. But let's talk about JUICE because that's why we're here. Also another excellence where Europe is really good, and let's look how our satellites and our launches are doing.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Huge thank you.
Thank you.
And to talk about JUICE, I am joined by Raphaël Chevrier from Arianespace. Raphaël is going to take us step by step all the way through every step of the mission. Raphaël?
Hello, Liz.
Hello. Welcome to Road to Space, and I'm going to let you take over from here and tell us what the next steps are.
Yes, so this morning we are launching towards the east, where we benefit from the slingshot effect given by the rotation of the Earth. So the launcher performs a first pitch maneuver in order to get us into the right direction. And only 2 minutes and 17 seconds after liftoff, the two boosters have done their jobs of providing the main thrust, so we don't need them anymore, they are detached from the launcher. Shortly after that, the fairing, which protected the spacecraft from the environment of the launch, is also jettisoned as we have crossed the limits of the atmosphere. Once the launcher reaches an intermediate orbit, the main stage is cut off and separated. So then the upper stage takes over, which engine is going to power for about 16 minutes in order to raise speed and altitude and release JUICE on the targeted orbit. So by the way, the little towers that you see on the motion picture, they represent a chain of telemetry stations that are receiving data from the Ariane 5 in real time all along the flight path. After some orientation maneuvers, JUICE is separated on a liberations orbit. It means that it will have the required speed to escape literally the gravitational pull of the Earth. Then this is almost the end of the mission from the launcher, as we still need to perform some disposal maneuvers of the upper stage, but JUICE is only beginning its journey. ESA teams will use the North Sea ground telemetry stations in Australia to acquire the signal from the spacecraft and take full control of it. 1 hour and a half after liftoff, JUICE will start deploying itself like a butterfly into space. First, it will unfold the large solar panels. Their total surface is 85 square meters. This is definitely bigger than my Parisian apartment. And then, in the following days, it will deploy its many antennas and probes. So the animation here doesn't depict the increasing altitude that JUICE is going to get, getting farther and farther from Earth on its way to its 8-year journey to Jupiter.
Thank you so much, Raphael. It's all very clear. And actually, as Raphael was speaking, so you can see the pictures of Ariane on the launch pad. As Raphael was speaking, we hit the next milestone in our in the chronology, which is, of course, the -10 weather update. And
Yes.
I'm looking at the board. All is green. I
All
have
is
not
green
heard
right
anything
now.
in my earpiece. I don't see anyone picking up a mic. So it's looking good so far.
It is green and we're good to go. So
Looking good to go.
while we check, like Stefan said, we are usually checking the wind at high altitude, the wind in the vicinity of the launch pad, and also the risk of lightning. Yesterday, it is the risk of lightning that prevented us from launching, but today, everything's good. We're good to go. We can continue the operations.
That sounds great. And continuing the operations means that we're heading towards what we call the synchronized sequence. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So there's another team. We see the teams working here. Final preparation underway here in Jupiter Control. But of course, there's another team at the Launch Control Center, which is much closer to the launch. It's about 3-4 kilometers to the launcher. And they've been working since last night. They've not slept. Tell us more about them.
Well, these teams are monitoring all the operations during the final countdown. So, for example, they are filling the cryogenic stages. They are cooling the Vulcan engine, that's the main engine of the launcher. They are pressurizing the upper stage sphere.
This is them hard at work in the morning.
Exactly, and I think the images were shot this morning actually. And so it's all these operations that are leading us to the start of the synchronized sequence.
So what is this synchronized sequence, Raphael?
Well, it's a real crucial step.
You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, so I'm going to make it very quick. It's basically a succession of operations aimed at giving more and more autonomy to the launcher and to set it in its flight configuration.
Because
30
it's
seconds.
an irreversible, once we've started the synchronized sequence, we can't go back.
No, so we are going.
Absolutely. And we're going to now wait and hear.
À tous EDDO, attention pour le début de la séquence finale lanceur. Top H0 moins 7 minutes.
So then we heard it from the DDO, who is the Range Operations Manager. We'll talk about him in a minute. And he's just announced the start of the synchronized sequence. Just a quick question. Why does it have to happen at -7? We were just saying.
Well, I mean, this is obviously not a magic number. This is just the time for all these last minute operations to be performed. For example, we are topping up and pressurizing the tanks. We switch the power supply from ground to board, and only then the launcher is going to be fully awakened for launch.
Fantastic. For those who are joining us, we are 6 minutes and 20 seconds to liftoff of Ariane 5, carrying JUICE on the first leg of its journey into space and towards Jupiter. As Raphael was saying, Ariane, we were talking about this earlier, Ariane normally launches 2 passengers, but this time it's a single passenger. So can you just go quickly into what difference that makes for the launcher?
For the launcher, this is a very precious passenger, but for the launcher, it remains exactly the same. You have the 2 lateral boosters, you have the main stage, you have the upper stage, 1 fairing. We are also launching towards the east, which is the same direction as for standard telecommunication satellites. Only the final destination is a bit different. This is Jupiter. It is the last time that we performed such a single configuration. One of the last time was for launching the Space Telescope James Webb. Let's hope today is going to be as flawless and smooth.
Absolutely. And let's quickly now go into the film and have a look at the last couple of months of launch preparations. So, our passenger is sitting safe and sound, tucked under the fairing, as you can see, waiting for liftoff in just over 2 minutes. Raphael, move to the skybox overlooking the Jupiter control room, where, as you can imagine,
À tous de DDO, attention pour moins 1 minute. Top H0, moins 1 minute. À tous de DDO, attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, top. Allumage Vulcain. Allumage AP, décollage. La propulsion est nominale. La propulsion est nominale. La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres bord sont nominaux. La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage est calme. Séparation des EAP. La trajectoire est nominale. Tous les paramètres bord sont nominaux. Séparation coiffe confirmée. La propulsion est nominale. Le pilotage est calme, la propulsion est nominale. La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage est calme. La trajectoire est nominale, le pilotage est calme. Acquisition par la station télémesure de Natal. La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres bord sont normaux. Trajectoire nominale, tous les paramètres bord sont nominaux. Trajectoire nominale, tous paramètres nominaux. Extinction Vulcain. Séparation EPC. Allumage ESC confirmé. Fin de visibilité par la station de Galio. Le pilotage est calme. Trajectoire nominale, tous paramètres bord nominaux. La propulsion est nominale. La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres bord sont nominaux. La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres bord sont nominaux. Propulsion nominale, pilotage calme. La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres à bord sont nominaux. Perte provisoire de la télémesure, suite à la fin d'acquisition par la station de Natal. Acquisition de la télémesure par la station d'Ascension. La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres à bord sont nominaux. La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres bord sont nominaux. La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage est calme. La trajectoire est nominale. La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres bord sont nominaux. La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres bord sont nominaux. La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage est calme. Tous les paramètres bord sont nominaux. Acquisition par la station télémesure de Libreville. tous les paramètres bord sont nominaux. La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage est calme. La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres bord sont nominaux. La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage est calme. La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage est calme. La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres bord sont nominaux. Acquisition par la station télémesure de Malindi. La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres sont nominaux. pilotage est calme, la manœuvre en roulis se poursuit de manière nominale. La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres bord sont nominaux. La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage est calme. La trajectoire est nominale, tous les paramètres bord sont nominaux. La propulsion est nominale, le pilotage est calme. Fin de la propulsion ESC confirmée. La manœuvre d'orientation au profit de JUICE se poursuit de manière nominale. Séparation JUICE confirmée.
So today's mission is a full success. Team Europe has perfectly delivered. I really want to pay our tribute to all the teams who have made this success possible. Arianespace and Ariane Group team for sure, all the supply chain, ESA, our customer, and Airbus Defence and Space, who is the juice manufacturer. It's really the success of Team Europe today, with the support as well for sure of CNES here on the spaceport, and with the design authority of Ariane 5. It is absolutely perfect launch today, and it is now the start of a journey for JUICE, 8 years journey.
Thank you very much, Lisa. So welcome back to everyone. We are standing in the heart of the European Space Operations Centre, ESOC, a facility in Darmstadt, and this is the mission control room right behind me, the main one. We've got a couple of major milestone events coming up. In less than 5 minutes, we hope to get the first acquisition of signal. That's where we actually talk to the spacecraft itself, and that gets picked up by an ESA ground station. There'll be an icon on the screen that signifies that, and that's a huge satellite dish. And in about an hour, we should then have the final and next key milestone, which is the deployment of JUICE's enormous solar panels. So I'm going to be talking to loads of mission scientists and engineers on this mission. And if you're watching and have questions, then you can ask them. You can go on social media and go to #AskESA, and we will pick them up, and I'll try and get those questions answered. I'm super lucky, and we're all really super excited as well. This has been an amazing day after yesterday's disappointment. For the next half hour, I've got Deputy Flight Director Bruno Souza, who's standing there in the heart of the operation. So, Bruno, how is it looking there in the nerve centre right now?
Well, what a beautiful flight. What a beautiful flight from Ariane 5. Everybody's quite excited, but now starts the hard part. The next major critical milestone we have is called acquisition of signal. We will expect to hear from the spacecraft from our ground station at New Norcia in Australia. If you see behind me, there is a plot over there on the screen. If this was a hospital and the satellite was our patient, that would be the electrocardiogram. And what we want to see there is a nice, beautiful shape, should resemble the Himalayas with a Everest in the middle. That indicates the satellite is alive and healthy. If we only see the Kilimanjaro, we'll have some work to do. If we don't see anything at all, we'll just have to be patient and wait for it to come. It will come for sure. So now starts the hard part. The teams will start working. Pay attention to the acquisition of signal coming up at any minute.
So much has happened already. As you can see on the bottom of your screen, with 4 icons representing major milestones in the launch today. We've made it through the first 2, which is unbelievably exciting. Launch and separation of JUICE. Well done to those teams. The next one you can see is the ground station, big satellite dish, which is our acquisition of signal icon, and the solar array deployment icon is that final one. As you can see, I've got a new guest here, so the first of our guests, Angela Dietz. So I've been watching you working in the control room, so you've come off a night shift, is that right?
Not yet. We started at 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's
okay.
A night shift. That's a night shift exactly. As far as I'm concerned.
It's the second time we did it, and everything worked well. And yes, we launched. It's amazing. And in about a minute, we actually might see the acquisition of signal already. So it might be already coming up now. It's not guaranteed. There could be also delays if the spacecraft has a certain spin from the separation from the launcher.
In fact, we've got this little picture here. What sort of thing are we expecting to see?
Yeah, so like Bruno was explaining a bit like a mountain in the middle. Yeah, so this is the frequency band the ground station is listening to. So it's pointed at JUICE, where JUICE is supposed to be, and the communication system on the spacecraft was already started, so it's already transmitting data. But here we wait for the spacecraft actually to come over the horizon, so to arrive, to be seen from the ground station.
So we've got have we got a small window where we can see this, or how big's the window where we can actually see this acquisition?
Well, first time would be actually now, but it could be delayed up to 40 minutes. So really depends how the spacecraft is moving. If it's a little bit tumbling, the spacecraft will first do an acquisition and stabilize the attitude.
Okay, right. We're just coming up to this acquisition window, so I'm going to go over to Bruno in the control room and see if we can see what's happening.
We just have to be patient. The signal is not there yet. At any moment now, it will appear. Actually, I will not bother you describing it too much. Just stay with me and watch that signal until it pops up with the signal of our spacecraft.
ODOM.
OMOD.
Quick brief from New Norcia. They see the downlink signal from Ariane.
Copy.
So it's about seconds or minutes that we will see JUICE.
Copy that. Just stand by. No signal yet.
La dernière manœuvre d'orientation de l'étage supérieur se poursuit de manière nominale.
Give me a go. We still don't have acquisition of signal at this point. This satellite, as you might have heard already, has been separated from the launcher, from Ariane 5. As it separates, there's always a certain rotation, a tumbling effect. The satellite needs to first prime the thrusters. That means it needs to make all the pipes open such that the fuel and the oxidizer can flow through it. At this point, it can use the thrusters for control, and then it will try to find its own orientation in space, and at that point, it will switch on the transmitter and start transmitting. So there's always a certain uncertainty about the time when we'll actually receive the signal. We have to be patient, we have to keep looking, and I'm sure it will wake up quite soon.
So thanks very much, Bruno. So Angela, what does it mean? What does this actually mean? How long do we have to kind of try and get this signal acquired? And you know, where are we? What's your feelings right now?
For me, this is still nominal, yeah,
yep.
Still quite nominal. So this is really what we said, like 51, that the spacecraft comes over the horizon of the antenna, so could be seen from the antenna, but that doesn't mean that the spacecraft is already in a state to really transmit. It's what Bruno was said, so it's really still finding, stabilizing the attitude. So yeah, only in about half an hour we would start to get nervous. So from this point on, it's still normal for our point of view.
And if it is tumbling, and the spacecraft itself does its own kind of trying to work itself out, and that obviously there's millions of different scenarios, I'm assuming, of how it does that. So is that why there might be this delay in terms of how it works itself out?
Yeah, there's some studies, some investigations that we've done, how much the tumbling could be, and yeah, it could be worst case. Yeah,
yep.
Just taking this time.
Okay, well, thanks very much. So thanks very much for joining us. It's really tense now. It's super tense. So if you've just joined us and you are following the JUICE spacecraft after its separation from Ariane 5, we're hoping to actually talk to the spacecraft soon. It's starting its billion-kilometre journey to Jupiter. Well, many billion-kilometre journey to Jupiter. We're in the European Space Operations Centre, where the fleet of the European satellites and spacecraft are actually flown and controlled by a large multinational team, people, Angela, scientists and engineers. If you want to ask questions of my many guests that are coming up, you can use the hashtag #AskESA, and I'll try and get them answered as soon as I can. But in the meantime, I'm going to switch you back over to Bruno.
To me.
Oh, for the who's who in the main control. Yeah, tell us who's who in this, who all this international team are.
Just as well, it's a good opportunity to introduce everybody who's in the control room right now. And I will start with this side of the room. And this function are the software coordinators. Today, Marta and Luca and Danielle are taking care of all our software. So all the software that is running on these consoles and on the servers, it's taken care by them. If anything fails, they bring it back up. Right next to them are the ground operations managers, and they are taking care of all the facilities, all the ground stations, making sure that we are connected to the ground station, configuring the ground station to listen in on the satellite, so they will be responsible for finding the satellite in the sky shortly. Now we move over here to the flight control team. And in the flight control team, they're responsible for operating the satellite, so they will take over control once we see it in the sky. Different functions are present here. On the front row, platform is responsible for our radio communication system and for our thermal system. Rudy is on shift at the moment. Right next to him, Arthur is taking care of the data handling. That's our onboard computer, our mass memory, and all the routing of data to the ground is taken care by Arthur. And then over here on this side, we have the attitude and orbit control expert. In this case, Giulio today. He's taking care of monitoring the separation sequence and what's happening on board. He's also a system engineer. And leading all these people at the moment is my dear friend and colleague for many years, Ignacio Tanco, who I may add is probably one of the best spacecraft operations managers in the world right now. At least the only one flying to Jupiter today. And over here on the last row, we have the flight director. He's also on this side of the ocean, orchestrating like a maestro all the teams that are now working towards a successful mission for JUICE. And next to him, we have project support, project representative. They have been working on the development of JUICE for many years, and they have been managing the program, and now they're finally seeing the fruit of their long years of work. And they are also our interface to the Airbus team that built the satellite, and they're sitting in the room behind this wall, providing us all the support that we need. Back to you, Matt.
Thanks very much, Bruno. Right, always absolutely amazing to have Bruno's expertise on the floor, and just all those amazing people. What an absolutely awesome team they are. So if you've just joined us, we're live in Germany, here in the heart of the control centre, where the European fleet of satellites and spacecraft are indeed flown, as we've just seen. You can join in at home and send in your questions at #AskESA. So right now, we're trying to talk to the spacecraft, and that is done with a ground station called New Norcia, which is actually in Australia. And amazingly, we're going to be able to speak to the manager of New Norcia, Susie Jackson, all the way the other side of the world. We've got to go right the way through the world to get there. Yeah, let's go there right now. Hello, Susie. So right behind you, I can see an enormous dish that looks very much like our acquisition of Signal icon.
G'day.
Is that the one that we're actually going to be using to try and talk to the JUICE spacecraft?
Yes, so this is New Norcia 1. This is our 35-metre main antenna here at New Norcia, and we're currently having a go at acquiring JUICE as we speak. As you can see, we're up a little ways away from the horizon already, so the spacecraft is up in the sky here. Conditions here are really good, really nominal, and we're waiting for the signal to come in from the spacecraft.
So that does look like an enormous dish. Does that track it straight away, or is there another dish that sort of can move faster and get a hold of the spacecraft before this massive, enormous dish does?
Yeah, so for these early acquisitions of spacecraft that are still close to the Earth, we cheat a little bit because we've got such a big dish here with New Norcia 1. It has a very, very, very narrow beam, so it's only able to spot a spacecraft in a very small, very well-defined area. Because we aren't completely sure where JUICE is yet, there might be a little bit of variation in its trajectory, although I hear everything's nominal so far. We use a smaller antenna, which is up behind me on the hill, called New Norcia 2. And that's a 4.5-metre antenna, and it has a beam width that's close to 10 times as big, so it's about half a degree. So if JUICE is up there and it's transmitting to us, we'll see it. So as soon as JUICE gets its act together and gets its attitude stabilised and starts talking to us, we'll definitely hear that signal.
Yeah, JUICE is keeping us all guessing at the moment. So how long can this dish actually track JUICE for? Is it for the whole day, or how does that work?
Yeah, so our nominal mission tonight will be about 7 hours from AOS right the way through to what we call LOS, loss of signal. So we'll track up into the sky up to about 50 degrees, and then while we're doing that, JUICE is moving away from the planet, and the planet's rotating underneath JUICE. So it'll actually come up, and rather than going over the other side like a normal satellite that's in Earth's orbit would do, it'll actually go up and then come back down as the spacecraft moves away and as the Earth rotates underneath. So we'll see, if you're still watching in 7 hours, which I'm sure you won't, we'll see the antenna set again, pretty much back where we came from.
Yes, Susie, I've got some great news for you. We have acquisition of signal, so I'm going to go over to Bruno in the main control room. This is super ace news.
Wow, wow. What can I say? These are the words that every spacecraft operations engineer wants to hear. And Andrea Komatsu just said them to us. He said, we have acquisition of signal. The spacecraft is transmitting telemetry. It's flowing into our systems. Everybody's super excited, super happy. Well, it's a lot of work from now onwards. We have to keep on going. So we'll keep reporting back how we're doing. First of all, we've reached a fantastic milestone. The spacecraft is alive. You start seeing Mount Everest popping up there in the plot right now. The telemetry is flowing and nominal. We will now start checking every subsystem to make sure that everything is healthy after this crazy ride into space. And then we'll report back to tell you how we're doing. Back to you, Matt.
Thanks so much, Bruno. I mean, I think it's actually made it more exciting, yes. Now, don't forget you can get involved at home and ask questions. And we are on a roller coaster, so we've just hit our first of our milestones. We've got one more really big one coming up. So if you fancy joining in, asking questions, then please do send in your facts. So I'm going to be joined in a second after I show you a video about how exciting this whole journey has been for mankind, getting here to send a spacecraft off to Jupiter. And so we're going to play you a little video now, and I'm going to take you back in time. We're going to go back, far back in time.